This story is about Brian Banks, a 11th nationally ranked football player who got a scholarship to USC, but he was accused of a crime he did not commit. His entire life was taken away from him because of being wrongly accused, he was incarcerated and spent 5 years in prison, and outside another 5 or 6 years in prison. His life was taken away from him, and it is the story of how the judicial system failed him, how the California Innocence Project came in and helped exonerate him, and how he moved on with his life. Leomia, Brian Banks' mother, is phenomenal. She thinks she's a very shy woman, and she says, I didn't do anything special, but I loved my son. But the love that she had for her son was the bedrock to his sanity when Brian was going through his deepest and his darkest moments. Leomia gave up her home, her car, to get an attorney for him. She drove 3.5 hours to prison and back when he was incarcerated. She wrote him a letter every day. She was there for her son. She advocated for him. Even in the end, she advocated for her son. So that love, that bravery, was an honor to play her.
What drew me to the part, reading the script, I read the script the first time and didn't even realize that it was a true story, and I was amazed by it then, and then to meet Brian and his hope and his faith, and to not let what happened to him, he lost a huge dream, was taken from him. But I mean, you speak to Brian now and he says, well, I was here to do this. I was here to spread awareness, to help people, to help young boys that have been in the same situation as him and had their life taken away from them. And it's so inspiring and so positive and hopeful. It was amazing. I mean, there was a sense of, we all came together on set. I mean, we had such an amazing director, Tom Shadyac. He's just incredible. And how he chooses his cast is quite amazing. I mean, and how he knew so much about all of us. And so by the time we came on to set, he understands how you work and what can trigger different things in you. It was just such an amazing experience.
She came out to visit and she went right back home the same day because it was so emotionally painful for her. There were things that she still couldn't talk about with me, even playing her. So she saw it at the LA Film Festival. It was very difficult for Leomia. She reached and she grabbed my shoulder and she squeezed it. And she came to the premiere. But it's nice to see her smile because there was always an air of sadness about Leomia and what she had to go through because it affected her so much for so many years. Her baby being incarcerated for something she knew he did not do. And to see her smile because of what is happening for her son, it was a joy to see her at the premiere and laughing and having a good time. That did my heart really well. Because of me being a comedic actress and I do stand-up comedy, they weren't very interested in seeing me for this role. And I begged and I screamed and I pleaded to get an audition, and finally they let me. But it was so many other names that they were mentioning, as Viola Davis and Octavia Spencer and Jada Pinkett and Angelina Ellis and Hallie. And
that's good company.
It's good company, but they didn't want me. That was just, to hear those names and having a fight. But it only takes one to believe in you, and it was Tom Shadyac. And when he interviewed me via FaceTime, and he asked me about my life, and he said, I had to sit on Eddie and I had to sit on Jim, both stand-up comics. He said, I think I'm gonna have to sit on you. And it was just like, what a feeling. And he knew how to direct me and how to get the comedy and the comedic stuff out of the way and bring the authenticity and the pain up. So I'm very thankful to Tom.
I hope they experience some of the inspiration and the hope within this movie, and to bring about change so there can be reform within the system.
I do hope that parents, that's your worst nightmare, that you get a call that your child has been in prison or arrested and you can't protect them. And we as parents, I want them to know from watching this movie that you have a voice to change the judicial system. We have to do the work to elect judges and DAs that will represent your interests, because God forbid your child is in front of a judge or a DA and they hold the future of your child in their hands. And do things like go to jury duty, be a presence, because if something happens, you want folks who represent you. And knowing that you can get your smile back. If you look at Brian, he got his smile back after so much devastation.